Brought to you by stationhousecoffee.com and Amazon Prime.
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
The Mark Twain Prize honoring Dave Chappelle, new on Netflix. Dave Chappelle being one of, if not my favorite stand-up comic. Back when I first got into watching stand-up comedy as a kid, he was featured on a few. I think he was on a couple of the Comedy Central kind of shorter sets specials. But later, it was Killing Them Softly was one of the stand-up specials that I remember watching many, many times, featuring the crack-dealing baby, of course, as well as many others. Just one of the all-time best. Then also followed it up with one of the best sketch shows. I'm not a huge sketch comedy fan necessarily, but there are definitely a few that I enjoy. And the Dave Chappelle Show is one of them that is a classic and is one that kind of stands up. I haven't revisited it recently, but there were definitely some clips during this celebration, this Mark Twain Award or prize, I should say, that they showed that are definitely hold up today more than ever. But yeah, Dave Chappelle. Comedy in general is one of my favorite art forms. I enjoy, like, comedians are my favorite types of artists. They tend to be very relatable to me as far as, coming from an abnormal slash damaged childhood or past. Um, just being an artist in general is kind of, you tend to be a certain type of person anyway. Although there's a feeling that a lot of comedians don't consider themselves artists, which is fine, which is almost one of the reasons I like them more as artists, because they are probably the least pretentious of the art groups, just because it's not an easy road. Generally, it's like 10 years of doing, open mics and kind of building yourself up and figuring out what your voice is before a decade before you even start to get any kind of traction doing anything. And Dave Chappelle is one of the oldies that started when he was a kid. The best thing about this series or this show is that you get to see, it's almost like a little mini documentary, right? Because they're celebrating Dave Chappelle. They're talking about how his mom used to take him to the comedy clubs when he was a kid and give him advice, and how like supportive his family was in what he was doing from an extremely young age. But Dave Chappelle's just been doing it forever. And then he had his special. He found success in movies. While, I mean, I guess not critical success in movies, but Half Baked, I'm sorry, is one of like a classic stoner slash just kind of adolescent kid type movie. I loved Half Baked growing up, and it's just one of those classic movies. But then Dave Chappelle, and then for him to just give everything up and then go hide away in Africa, and then pretty much just completely changed what he did. I mean, from there he would just pop in to different clubs around the world. He wasn't doing tours. He was doing tons of stand up. He lives in Dayton, Ohio, which is like a small like town in Ohio. He's like has one of the most unique lifestyles for a comedian. He's not living in New York. He's not living in LA. He's not trying to get into movies, even though, he's put in movies. Bradley Cooper was one of the many celebrities that showed up. Most of them were comedians. I would actually say Bradley Cooper was the worst out of all of the people that they had featured. He's like the only actor where everybody else is like a stand-up comedian or has some ability to kind of just speak without reading a script. But there were some great ones like Tiffany Haddish. Let me run through the list. Jon Stewart, Bradley Cooper, Morgan Freeman, Aziz Ansari was funny. Lorne Michaels seemed almost dead. Most Def performed. Sarah Silverman, obviously one of my favorites. Neil Brennan has amazing stand-up comedian as well. Also part of the creation of Half Baked as well as the Chappelle Show. Kenan Thompson, Michael Shea, Colin Jost, Chris Tucker, Tiffany Haddish is amazing. Her story, as anytime Tiffany tells a story, it's like, well, just prepare to cry. Rapper Common and John Legend and Christy Teigen. Just a bunch of heartwarming stories and funny moments, kind of celebrating Dave Chappelle. Um, and then Dave Chappelle at the end comes up and gives an effortless acceptance speech. I mean, anytime Dave Chappelle steps on stage, I think is probably the most comfortable. Like, that's the time he's at home. But I love Chappelle's. I mean, he went from, the Chappelle Show, which I loved. I was in my early 20s when that came out. When Comedy Central was in their heyday, they had the Chappelle Show. They had South Park, which is still around, still relevant, amazing. The South Parks. When Chappelle Show left, that's when they gave the Mencia Show, and then later Key and Peele. Like, they just copied that format with other comedians. But Chappelle was, I think, by far the Chappelle Show was by far the best. But then when he came back, like, there was this big announcement that he got this deal with Netflix to do 2 specials, and it's like so much anticipation because nobody had seen a special from him. I mean, unless you're going to comedy clubs and maybe you happen to be at a club one night when he popped in, he hadn't put anything out forever. It had been, I think, Killing Them Softly was his last special before these. I could be wrong. I could be way wrong with that. But it seemed like a very long time since he had done a special. And then all of a sudden, he's coming out with, I think, what he has, like 5 specials out now on Netflix. Like, he was doubled up on 2 and then doubled up on another 2. The first 2, he did one where he was in the belly room at the Comedy Store, which is a tiny room that I've seen podcasts like Kill Tony start at, and I've been in, and it is the tiniest of tiny comedy rooms. And they made that room look amazing for that special. I mean, all of the specials, they've looked great, but they've all been different. His most recent one was kind of Chappelle showing how he doesn't, like, not only how good he is at doing it, but like how he can be, like, he showed the dangerousness and the fearlessness that comedians should have when they go on stage. And he really appreciates the fight to maintain a freedom of the arts and a freedom of speech and a freedom of expression, where there's a lot of comedians and a lot of people where it's the cancel culture and all that. It was a crazy time, and now nobody's doing stand-up. Some comedians are doing like streaming stand-up, but yeah. So if you're a fan of Dave Chappelle, for sure, check out the Mark Twain Prize honoring Dave Chappelle on Netflix now. I think it's a PBS feature as well, so maybe go check it out there. But I loved it. And if you aren't familiar with Dave Chappelle's stand-up, go watch. He's probably my all-time favorite stand-up comedian. After his, like, he's just like killed it on all of his specials. I love all of them. I go back and watch them all the time. And I'm just a huge fan. I'm a huge fan as an artist, his creativity, his drive, and he's just been doing it forever. So it's just like it's who he is, and I'm so happy that, like, Netflix gave him all that money to do all these specials. And I'm excited to see what he does, because he keeps, like, there's some comedians that I love that they put out mediocre stuff sometimes, which is, it happens. But Chappelle's stuff is amazing. So go check that out on Netflix now. But also go check out and support our sponsors, stationhousecoffee.com, Station House Coffee on Instagram, the makers of premium coffee, small batch, single origin coffee out of Thetford Center, Vermont. Go buy coffee directly from them, shipped directly to you, and support a small business in a time where small businesses are suffering. Station House Coffee Station House Coffee on Instagram. Also, get 30 days free of Amazon Prime by going to inspireddisorder.com/prime. Go through the link, like I said, inspireddisorder.com/prime for 30 days free of Amazon Prime, which everybody knows gets you instantly access to thousands of movies and TV shows, amazing movies, amazing and original TV series. You can borrow Kindle books, and of course, you get the free, unlimited 2-day shipping, which may be a little wonky with the virus and all that, but still, it's your best way to order supplies directly to your home and get 30 days free by going through my link, inspireddisorder.com/prime, for 30 days free of Amazon Prime. New episodes of my show come out every single day. Subscribe on IGTV, YouTube, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Go buy my artwork over at inspireddisorder.com and save 25% when you use coupon code RTS. Follow this show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!